Welcome back to the SA Sport Show. Loads more to get through to complete the hour, and here's a mate that I haven't caught up with for quite a while. Maxie O'Connell joins us elbows, and I thought it was 10 years. He is a legend. I thought it was 10. He said, Poppy, it's been 20. Time flies, Max.
Might be 50.
It might be 50.
I tell you what, though, Poppy, and I know you do your homework very, very well, but to read what Max has done in his life.
Wow.
War and peace.
It is war and peace, and it makes it from SANFL football to state football to representing as an umpire on a world stage. Are there? I guess we should go. Let's go to cricket first before we talk football, and football might be another segment altogether. But when you reflect back on that cricketing career, are there obvious highlights?
Oh yes, plenty. Especially when I go through a scrapbook and just remember a few things that happened. I think the biggest thing in the sport was meeting such nice people. On and off the field.
You met the Queen, didn't you?
Sorry?
Did you meet the Queen?
3 times.
3 times?
Wow.
She nearly ran over me in Windsor Castle.
Was that the highest, well, it would have to be the highest profile person you've ever met, surely.
Sir Donald Bradman, Lady Jessie. Yeah,
I can understand that, but probably the Queen might just rank in
Queen
front.
and the Duke.
Yeah.
Had the opportunity to meet him in the centenary test.
Yes.
At the last 5th day during the tea break.
Yeah.
And that was really nice to talk to her. Then I went to Windsor Castle on a trip, and I was invited to umpire a cricket match at Windsor Castle. Probably the worst pitch in the world.
Really?
But you didn't tell her that.
No.
But Max, just let's go back to where it all started and why it started. How did you get involved in umpiring for a start off?
Well, I was playing cricket with Ports, and our captain of our team was Freddie Godson. He was a AFL, South Australian Football League goal umpire. And when I was playing football for Ports, and when I got hurt and playing, he suggested I take on umpiring, which I did. And then I played for another 7 or 8 years for cricket. And then I thought, well, I can't get any higher than what I'm now. Barry Jarman's the state keeper, and I was only number 2. So I thought I'd go umpiring.
Right.
When David Sincock bowled me for a pair in my last A-grade game, I decided to umpire.
That was it. He could move a ball, couldn't he?
David Sincock was beautiful. Yeah. I kept doing once in a state seconds game. He knew where the ball was going, but I didn't.
Right.
I was only the keeper.
So you couldn't pick it?
No.
Never could?
No. He came straight out of Sacred Heart College.
Yeah.
And they said, what does he do? He's a good spinner. All right, well, watch your fingers, yeah. But he was so good.
But you couldn't pick it?
He went in, a year or 2 later and got 7 wickets against New South Wales, against all those test players.
Wow. Yeah. So, all right, the Queen was number 1 as far as that goes. Sir Donald Bradman and Lady Bradman, obviously number 2. Who was the best cricketer that you saw?
Well, you'd have to categorise bowlers, batsmen, all-rounders. The best all-rounder, Sir Garfield Sobers.
Yeah, agree with that.
Viv Richards was pretty good as a batsman, and Clive Lloyd was a magnificent captain. Yeah. I was at Square Leg one day and I said to Lloyd, hey Clive, what are they talking about over there? He said, I got no idea. What do you mean? He said, well, we all come from the West Indies. We've all got our own languages. He could only speak English. He said, they could be criticised me, I wouldn't know. He said, well, if I find out, they'll know.
But you know what, I think that's probably adds weight to his reputation of being such a great leader. You know, that instance there in particular, he was able to, for a period, have the West Indies on top of the world.
Well, he brought them from all those islands, all came together, didn't know each other, and made them into the world's best team. Yeah,
but it was a crackerjack side.
Oh, yeah.
Crackerjack side. I mean,
we go to Perth in 75-6. Michael Holding, Andy Roberts, Joel Garner, Malcolm Marshall. The four bowlers.
And of course Croft was there as well.
Oh, he was only a slow medium.
Yeah, slow medium.
To the others.
Yeah.
And Australia had Lilly, Thompson and Walker.
Yeah. Tell me, best Australian captain?
Probably Ian Chappell.
Yeah, I agree with that again. You're a good judge.
On the field, off the field he's a bit different. But you had to admire him for his captaincy.
Oh, fantastic. Absolutely.
If there were 9 wickets down, if there was a wicket went before stumps at 5-6, Ian would go out and bat.
Yeah.
Even though he was number 3.
Yep.
And look at some of the others. Suddenly they find a tail ender and a Gillespie and a Warne, all those to put in. Yeah, Ian would be high up. State-wise, Les Favell was probably the most outstanding state captain.
Yeah.
And I remember the game at Adelaide Oval, Queensland, the South Australia batting. I went and said, Les, we're on the way. He said, righto. Now I heard him say to you fellas, no hooking before 12 o'clock.
Yep.
It's 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
So Peter Anderson was bowling from my end for third ball of the game. Les Favell's gone, happy birthday.
Yeah.
Landed on the roof of the member stand.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he turned to him, he said, don't do what I do, do what I say.
Do what I say. Yeah.
Yeah, but there were some lovely people to get on with. Yeah.
Cricket those days and cricket these days, what miles apart, aren't they?
Yes. Well,
but is it better, or is it just as? Is it better in some ways, or? Well, again, how would you analyse that?
I think it's better in the overall.
Yep.
The overall picture. You cannot stop progress,
No.
and progress is what it's done to cricket.
2020?
2020 is a Mickey Mouse sort of thing.
It is a Mickey Mouse, but
you've got a market.
Yep, absolutely.
Got a market for it.
And it's taught batsmen, and to a lesser degree bowlers, particularly batsmen, some skills that they are now starting to leach into Test cricket.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's had the advantages there,
Yeah.
same as day and night. Now, what about November this year in Adelaide? The Test match is going to be a day-nighter.
Yes, against New
Using
Zealand.
a pink ball, not a red one like that one.
Yeah, that's. I don't know how I feel about that, to be honest with you. Look, I love cricket and I love Test. My son and I go to every opening day. Should have been in England right now, but anyway. But I'm not so sure about day and night Test cricket.
Well, we didn't think that about one day as under lights.
No.
I umpired the last one day under lights at Footy Park, Tasmania versus South Australia.
Yeah.
And they thought, oh, there'll never be another game under lights. But look what happened.
Actually, I suppose when I think about it, day cricket, well, I was whacked by about halfway through the second session. At night time, I'll be sort of whacked at dinner time.
Yeah, you'd be right. So time might change. But you know what? I'm willing to give it a go. But what I find with cricket, in more so than any other sport, is that the traditionalists, I think, want to hold on to what has made the game great for so long, and I think that's a lovely quality. But as long as what we put forward, which is day-night cricket, it may well be cherished in years to come, like you guys cherish Test cricket in years gone by, or not.
I think cricket's got that tradition, but the people go there, they'll talk about what someone did, who made all the runs,
Yes.
how good Bradman was, and all the rest of it. It goes on every year. Then you add more players to it, like.
And you also add something to the story every time too, don't you?
Yeah.
It gets embellished.
Unfortunately, I haven't got any stories on you, Ian. You're lucky.
Yeah. Oh well.
Anyway, yeah,
Clean
cricket's
life,
very
Max.
good. It's a different. You remember scores, players, what they got, more so than you do football.
Yeah.
Football's one week to another.
Well, it's more than that, Max. This is my opinion. Well, it's actually an opinion that was shared by David Hooks. There is a lot more time to develop these stories because cricket is played over 4 days, or that's the Sheffield Shield, or 5 days over the Test. So you've got more time to embellish these stories, and it's I think the most wonderful thing about cricket is the stories.
No. Well, you mentioned a great character in Hooksy.
Oh yeah, wonderful.
And I umpired with a little tacker until he made all the runs at Adelaide Oval.
Yeah.
He knew me and I knew him, and he tried a few con tricks here and there,
Yeah.
but you had to admire him for his ability and what he did. And in the Centenary Test, came out, hit 5 consecutive fours, never been done in a Test match ever. And if the 1.5 million people have told me they saw that in live.
Now you brought that bat in, which is an aluminium bat. Is that correct? And is that actually the bat that Javed Miandad raised over the head of Dennis Lilly?
This is one of the batch of those. This was given to me by Tony Gree.
Okay.
Tony got second views in. It hadn't got any springs.
Right.
It's just solid metal.
Yeah.
And it was like hitting used with a fence post.
Yeah.
And Greggy was given that a try, and he didn't like it. He said, "I don't want it. Here, you can have it."
Yeah. And so that's it.
Yeah, Greggy was one of the nicest people ever on and off the field, and you couldn't have met a nicer fellow. And I was very sad when he passed away. He'd always speak to you, Greggy. You're like Michael Holding. You'd be walking somewhere and Michael Holding or Greggy would come up, speak to you, irrespective of who was around the scene, and they would remember, you know, the umpiring days, and I remember how good they were.
Yeah, that was more appropriate in that era, wasn't it? I mean, today it's harder because there's a lot more stress, there's a lot more pressure. There's not as much time available between getting on the field, off the field, or socially.
Yeah, well, the lunch break's been cut by 10 minutes, and the afternoon tea's 10 minutes extra. Also, they've got sponsors want to interview them, the public want to interview them, and whereas they used to walk around in front of the crowd, they don't do that anymore.
Plenty of personalities in your time too, and I know you brought some photos in here as well of, you know, some great South Australian bowlers there, Max. But there's been plenty of personalities over the period of time. You want to hold one of these up and?
Yeah, wherever we're going to.
That was excuse me, Rodney Hogg in Melbourne. You can tell it's Melbourne because of the Benson Hedges sign there.
Yes.
And the pickets of the Melbourne fence, and. That was bowling, and that was about to be called a no ball. Hoggy was a personality. He had a very dry sense of humour, and if a batsman sled him, Hoggy could come back with something better. But he never changed the expression.
Didn't move. But I tell you though, you know, and I think that's, and Elbows has alluded to it, I think that time that cricket allows people to embellish stories or to come up with wisecracks, I think that's one of the great things about any sport, but in particular cricket. It's unique because of what it offers.
Well, I'm only thankful one thing.
What's that?
They didn't have a microphone near me.
That's right, I mentioned
because if they sledged me, I'd sledge them.
Would you?
And then afterwards, I'll come and have a drink.
But that's the other beauty of cricket too, you know, is let's go and have a drink. I don't know whether they still do that now.
No, not as much.
Not as much.
Ian Chaplin and Les Favell say that.
Yep.
Day one, in Adelaide, you had to go and have a drink in the home team on day one, both teams and captains. And you had to be there a half an hour. Ian forgot that, and he was always there 3 or 4 hours.
But only because he was very thirsty.
Day two, it was the visiting captain. He'd invite you in there, and you had to go, and it was good because you got to know them all.
Occasionally they do it in Test, I believe, between Australia and England. Very occasionally.
It'd be very occasionally.
It's
a bit like Aussie rules now. They're all strangers. May as well have passports to go in the other room.
Is that right?
They don't mix at all.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame because that was one of the great things as a spectator growing up, that you always loved the camaraderie, even though the intensity of the battle was up here. You know, and it happens in a lot of sports.
Cricket, I think, has got more knowledgeable personalities.
Yes.
They know the laws, they know the game, and they know how to...
Greater tradition too, Max.
Yes,
you know, you either love cricket or you don't. And I love the game.
You know, the biggest factor I've seen since I retired from umpiring is the improvement in ladies' cricket.
Okay, wow.
I umpired 3 ladies' tests back in the 90s somewhere. And when I look at them playing now, it's incredible how they have picked up, and in progress in the last 20 years, ladies' cricket's gone up there. You can see the girls fielding the outfield and throwing over the stumps now. Once upon a time, they go like that and go halfway. And that's good for the game because they now get test status.
Now tell me, and I'm going back in time, but Greenwich and Hayes, how did you see them as opening batsmen?
They were
the best.
They were perfection. Gordon Greenwich was the one to get into them, and you needed someone on the other end to just get the 1s and 2s. But the West Indies would. In Perth, the one I was just talking about a while ago, day one, it was pretty tight, and I went to the room next minute, knock on the door. Lloyd, he come in. What are you doing for dinner? What are you doing tonight, Max? Nothing. Come with us. The bus will pick you up. Picked up, he took us to a Spanish restaurant, and I'm sitting alongside of Alvin Kelly-Charan and Viv Richards, and all the others. 9 o'clock, well, we have to go back, get ready for tomorrow. Okay, thank you, fellas, thank you, Clive. Next day, go on the field. How'd you like that meal last night? Well, let's get on with the game.
Unbelievable.
You couldn't do that now.
Wonderful. Max, we could talk on and on and on for hours.
We'll just scratch the surface.
We'll get you back so that we can keep this conversation going.
Well, we're going to have a replay, are we?
A little replay. Good on you, Max. Really great to catch up, and look forward to you joining us again here on the SA Sports Show. A short break, back talking hockey with Melody Cooper and Mark Victory.